Hello, once more, and welcome back to the channel. Back here on YouTube, doing the first 2024 NFL Preseason Prediction video today, as I'm doing the AFC conferences. I will predict who I think wins the AFC this year, 1 through 7 out of the 7 teams that will make the postseason going into 2024. Last year, my record was 66-60, 8-5 for the postseason. Last year, with my predictions, the NFL predictions going into 2024. Last year, for the AFC, I picked the Chiefs, Bills, and Steelers. Those are the 3 teams I got right, predicting that they would make the postseason. But I got their seeds wrong. I predicted the Chiefs would be number 2 last year, the Bills would be number 3. And I predicted the Steelers would be number 6 instead. And there's the other way around. The Dolphins were the number 6 seed because they went to play the Chiefs in the first round. And the Steelers were the number 7 seed, and the Steelers played in Buffalo in the first round, who was the number 2 seed. So, going into it this year, starting out with the AFC, number 1 seed that I think in 2024 is going to be the Kansas City Chiefs. And the reason I'll say this, not just because I'm a fan of the team, but I do like Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and everyone and Isaiah Pacheco. As a fan of the team, this was an easy one to pick for me by far, not just as a fan, but as a person who does these predictions over the last few years. I looked at the roster and what they're bringing back. They're bringing back a lot of players that won Super Bowl 57 and 58. They're losing a few players, but they're also bringing some players back. I saw today they signed Juju Smith-Schuster to come back, was just released by the Patriots the other day. So the Chiefs, I think they're going to be a number 1 seed. The only question about them is their offensive line. Last year they had an offensive line which was not very good, and they didn't do good. Didn't get a number 1 seed. They get a number 3 seed because the offensive line played terrible last year, and Patrick Mahomes was sacked quite a bit, threw a few picks here and there. But the Chiefs, I think this year they should be better offensively, and I think that's why they get a number 1 seed this year, obviously. So give the Chiefs that number 1 seed right now. The number 2 seed in the AFC going to be the Buffalo Bills, for Bills fans. And if you're a Bills fan, I just want to say this now up front. The reason I put the Bills at number 2 is they have issues. They play good in the regular season and do good. They finish the regular season good, but they can't finish in the playoffs. Why? Here's the reason why. Every year they do good when they play the regular season, and whenever they play Kansas City, Mahomes and Josh Allen meet up. Josh Allen has won the regular season battles. When it comes to playoff battles, the Chiefs have been the team that has come out on top, just like last year in the divisional round when the Chiefs went on the road in Buffalo on a cold night. It was a very tough matchup for the Chiefs fans, unfortunately. For the Bills, they fell short last year of the promised land of getting to the Super Bowl. The Bills, they have to be a good team. I think there might be some changes if they don't make it to the Super Bowl and win this year. There might be some changes, but that's one of the reasons I think they're going to be a number 2 seed though this year. Is I think Josh Allen and the Bills can play good, but the question is, can they finish in the postseason? That's the only reason I have them as the number 2 at the moment. Sorry, Bills fans, for that. So with that being said, that's why I have the Bills at number 2 this year. Next up, number 3 seed in the AFC side of things, I have to go with the Houston Texans, a team last year that made the postseason. They weren't even predicted, unfortunately, I don't think, to beat. They weren't even predicted last year to be. What's the word I'm looking for? Last year, I didn't predict the Texans to make the playoffs last year. And the AFC South, I predicted the Jaguars would win the division as the number 4 seed. But this year, I'm going with the Houston Texans as the number 3 seed. After last year, C.J. Stroud going into year number 2, and then also D'Amico Ryans, their second-year head coach who played linebacker there in Houston. I think this team should be much better, improved. I think C.J. Stroud, he's done it when he was at Ohio State as a quarterback. He knows how to win. I think the number 1 thing for C.J. Stroud and the Texans is, can you be a good team and can you play the game? I think the Houston Texans will be that team, and they can play, I think, the game this year. And I think that's going to be one of the reasons Houston makes the postseason as number 3 seed over the number 4 seed, who I have a surprise team for you all, but not surprising to myself. So C.J. Stroud and the Houston Texans, I think they're going to be a pretty good team this year, looking at their schedule. So Houston giving the number 3 team seed at the moment for the postseason. Next up, I have the number 4 seed for 2024 that I think the Cincinnati Bengals, Joe Burrow. who I think will be back as a playoff team. I predicted them last year as the number 1 seed after I predicted them to be the number 1 seed last year, and that backfired a lot. Joe Burrow was hurt, of course, which was not a good thing for the Bengals. They had a lot of issues last year. The Bengals had Joe Burrow who was hurt. They had wide receiver issues. They had running back issues, injuries, all kinds of injuries last year for the Bengals. But this year, as a number 4 seed, I think they're going to slot in perfectly as a number 4 seed at the moment. And I think the Bengals will be much better on offense. Joe Burrow has a good team. This team should be good. The one question I have about the Bengals now is how good will Joe Burrow be? How good is this team going to be on offense and defense combined? This is why I have them as a 4, not as a 4 seed instead of a 3. In the last few years, the Bengals, Chiefs, and Bills have been the 1, 2, and 3 seeds. I could have put the Bengals and the Chiefs and Bills up there in 1, 2, 3 again, and they can finish them either way because that's what they look like the last few years. But last year the Bengals they disappointed. That's why I have them as a number 4 seed this year. So call the Bengals as a true number 4 seed here today. Next up, number 5 seed, the first wild card spot, Miami Dolphins. Yep, the Dolphins as the wild card. This one was a hard pick, unfortunately, for me to make, I'll say. Because it's Miami Dolphins, Tua Tagovailoa, Mike McDaniel's head coach. Dolphins last year were a team that lost to Kansas City in the divisional round. No, wild card round, on the road. Back-to-back years, the Dolphins have lost in the wild card round on the road. The last 2 seasons. 2 years ago, they lost in Buffalo. Last year, they lost in Kansas City. And one of the coldest games ever in Kansas City. I think the the temperature was like minus 15 degrees, and the wind chill was like minus 30 or something like that. But the Dolphins, if they can get a wild card spot this year, the number 5 seed, which I think they will, their offense can play good. They have a lot of good players on their team. They're playing well this year. I think that's why the Dolphins, as a number 5 seed, move up from 6 to 5. With Tua Tagovailoa to the quarterback and Mike McDaniel, the head coach, and the whole team offensively, I think, and defensively, I think they're going to do good as well this season. Not just do well, they're going to do good. But the number 5 seed for the Dolphins at this moment. Next up, the first number 6 wild card spot. This one's a surprising pick to me, which I think is shocking people. The Las Vegas Raiders. Yeah, the Las Vegas Raiders. Why do I have the Raiders as number 16 over, the number 7 seed, which is going to be interesting? Well, here's the reason I think Las Vegas is going to be good this year as a team and make the postseason as a number 6 seed. You have Antonio Pierce, a former Super Bowl winning linebacker with the Giants, and Eli Manning back in 07, 08, back in the day. And he comes in his first full year as head coach with the team. He's going to have a job where he's going to be coaching his first full year. Last year when he took over, and I'll point this out to you, was if I can find it, tell you some stats. If I can find them. Hold on a second. So yeah, last year the Raiders had finished second in the AFC West, which was interesting. They should be better this year going into 2024, I believe. I think the Chiefs are going to be the team that's going to test them this year a lot. As we look at the Las Vegas Raiders, said they fired their head coach on October 31st on Halloween last year, and the general manager. Antonio Pierce was named the head coach on October 31st. So if you look from there with the schedule from last year, after he took over, he had a 2-game winning streak when he took over, and he ended up winning 5 games and losing 4. So you get a coach, you fire a coach, you bring in the new coach, and goes 5-4. Yeah, that's pretty good numbers. The Raiders finished 8-9, pretty good. I think the Raiders. This is one of the reasons I think they're going to be good this year. Looking at their 2024 schedule, I just want to point this out. Their schedule looks pretty hard. I think the game at Los Angeles against the Chargers and at Baltimore in week 2 are going to be the 2 tougher games. But after that, they have a pretty easy schedule until October 20th when they play the Rams, and then they have the Chiefs October 27th, and then the Bengals and Dolphins, teams that made the postseason last year. Then after that, they have they have a few other tests still. So I think the Raiders, they can be a team that goes 9-8, maybe 8-9, and make the playoffs with a losing record. So that's why I think they're going to be in it, possibly make the playoffs this year. But this is what I think about the Raiders overall looking at the schedule. So that's pretty much why I have the Raiders as the number 6 seed. Moving on to the final seed. The number 7 seed, Baltimore Ravens. And here's the thing. This is one of the surprises that I have that I picked. Surprisingly, it took me a while to pick this one out. I think the Ravens, Lamar Jackson, after being the number 1 seed last year, after showing fans they won in the divisional round, then lost to the defending champions, the Chiefs, who won 2 straight Super Bowls, the Ravens showed they could fall apart pretty quickly, which they did last year. And some people might say it was the officials that helped the Chiefs out, which might be true, but it's hard telling which side is correct. They can all be correct stories. But the Ravens, they look like a team this year. I think they're going to take a step back, potentially, from a number 1 seed to maybe number 7 seed. We'll just have to wait and see. Last year, the Ravens were one of 3 AFC North teams in the playoffs, with the Browns and the Steelers as wildcard teams. So I don't think it's going to be the division that gets 3 teams. If there's going to be a division that gets 3 teams, I don't think anyone's going to get 3 teams this year. But that's pretty much my understatement. The Ravens, though, they're going to be a team I think that's going to look interesting. With Lamar Jackson, I think J.K. Dobbins should be back healthy. And then on defense, they should have a pretty good defense as well there in Baltimore this year. But I think they take a step back on defense in different directions after being the number 1 seed last year in the AFC. So there you have it. That's why I have the number 7 seed, Baltimore Ravens, right there. Hope you all enjoyed today's NFL prediction video for the first one for the AFC predictions. Come back tomorrow, I'll predict the NFC. Surprise teams in that one for the top 7 seeds. So you can see my predictions here today. If you did like today's video, please remember to watch, like, and subscribe. And don't forget to tell our friends as well to do the same if they haven't done so. And also don't forget to hit that notification button below so you don't want to upload a new video. With that being said, have a nice day. Stay safe and peace out. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now, everyone. See ya tomorrow with NFC predictions.